Hello, this is Mrs. Scarple, and in this video I'm going to review how to complete the frequencies of a frequency table by row, column, and by whole table. When we do this, we're comparing it to totals of either the row, the column, or the entire table. This first one, we're going to take the values of these boys and girls who selected they prefer fiction or nonfiction, and we're going to find the frequencies by row. When we say we're finding the frequencies by row, that means that the row is going to be 100% for each one. And then we have to find the percent of each row that makes up the values. So for example, the boys who chose fiction, that's going to be 20 out of 28. So when you find this in the calculator, you're going to take 20 and divide it by 28 times 100. And we'll just go ahead and round this to 1 decimal place. And it is going to be 71%. Now we should end up with 100 minus 71, or 29% of the boys prefer nonfiction. So I'm just going to double check that with 8 divided by 28 times 100, and we get approximately 29%. The reason I knew that it would be a subtraction from 100 is because we're finding the frequency for this whole row. So the total of 28 is the total for that row. So our percentages within the row will add up to the 100%. So for girls, we're going to take 13 and divide it by 17, because that's the total of the row, times 100, and that's going to be 76%. And then we take a look at the nonfiction for girls, and that's 4 out of 17 times 100 is going to be 24%. And then we do the same thing with the total column. So that would be 33 out of 45 times 100 is 73%. And then it would be 12 out of 45 times 100 is going to be 27%, because 100 minus 73 is 27. So again, when you do frequency table by row, the total, or the percent at the end of each row, is 100%, and you find the percent values, those relative frequency values, by dividing by the total in the row. Now if we take a look at this next one, we're looking at the relative frequency by column. When it's by column, that means the total of every column is now 100%. So you're going to be basing the values within each column on the total for the column. So let's start with fiction. 20 out of 33 were boys. So we find that value is 61%. And then the remaining 13 out of 33 were girls. And 100 minus 61 is going to be 39%. Let's go to nonfiction. 8 out of 12 times 100. Well, 8 out of 12, I believe, should be 2/3. But I'm just going to take my calculator and double check that. Yes, so that is approximately 67%. So then 4 out of 12 would be the 1/3 times 100 is going to be 33%. And then finally we have the totals. 28 out of 45 times 100 tells us that 62% are boys. So the 17 out of 45 if I do 100 minus 62, that's going to be 38% were girls. And then the final relative frequency is going to be by the whole table. So the only place you're going to see that 100% is in the total column and the total of the total row. That's the only place we have the 100%. So all of these percentages are going to be out of 45. So we take 20 boys that liked fiction out of 45 total, tells us that 44% of the students were boys who preferred fiction. Now I'm going to go ahead and complete the row for the boys, so 8 divided by 45 times 100 is 18%. And then we have the 28 out of 45 times 100 is going to be 62%. Now let's take it to the girls. 13 divided by 45 times 100 is 29%. 4 out of 45 times 100 will be 9%. And then let's just check that final volume, or percent, excuse me. 17 divided by 45 is going to be 38%. And then let's look at the totals. What percent preferred fiction? We have 73%. And then what percent preferred nonfiction? 27%. Now if you look at this relative frequency table by table, you'll notice that the percentages within the rows equal the total percentage of the row, and the percentages within the columns equal the total percentage of the column. And this concludes the video on relative frequencies by row, column, and table.